but honestly, rarely truly understood. We're talking about high awareness. Now, people who possess this trait are usually praised for their sharp intuition, their brilliant social intelligence, and that uncanny ability to just read a room. But what the source material actually reveals is that this so-called brilliant gift is, well, a surprisingly heavy psychological burden. It's almost like a cursed superpower. So today, we're going to explore exactly why seeing too much can push a person right to the brink of emotional exhaustion, and more importantly, how to actually master this brutal gift.
I want to start off by asking you directly. Are you the type of person who easily catches those tiny, fleeting facial expressions? Do you spot lies right away, almost by instinct? Can you walk into a room and immediately feel the unspoken tension, even when everyone around you is smiling? If that sounds like you, then you probably already know that you can't just switch off your mind and act naive. You carry the weight of truth that no one else seems to grasp.
So let's transition away from the mystical explanations and get into part 1, the mechanics of high perception.
Because to truly understand why some people see what others miss, we really need to take a hard mechanical look at the neuroscience. It all starts with a concept called thin slicing. Okay, imagine the average human brain as an audience watching a stage play. They look at the stage, they listen to the actors, and they wholeheartedly believe the performance. But the highly perceptive brain, it operates entirely differently. It is constantly looking behind the velvet curtain. While everyone else is completely captivated by the dialogue, the perceptive brain is noticing the broken props, the prompter whispering lines off stage, and the nervous sweat forming on the lead actor's forehead. It's this high-speed, completely unconscious data processing that instantly detects when something just doesn't add up.
Okay, let's dive into this a bit deeper. Human beings communicate through two main channels, verbal and nonverbal. Most people are completely fixated on the verbal. You know, the words, the script, the stage play. But people who see through things have this built-in radar system highly attuned to the nonverbal channel. That's the backstage. That's the actual truth. Their perceptive brain essentially operates as a 24/7 data collection machine, relentlessly searching for technical errors in human social performance.
And to give you an idea of just how powerful this radar is, think about this number. According to the pioneering research of Dr. Paul Ekman, the human face flashes real, completely unfiltered emotions in what are known as microexpressions. These tiny facial movements flash by in just 1/15th to 1/25th of a second. That is literally less time than a blink. Yet the highly aware brain effortlessly catches these incredibly fast, authentic emotions that are desperately trying to hide behind a social mask. Let's look at how this data error plays out in everyday life. Imagine a coworker comes up to you and says, "I'm really happy you got that promotion." The average person just hears the words and says, "Thank you." But the highly perceptive person instantly detects an incongruence. They hear the voice rise half a tone, they see the smile fail to reach the eyes, and they catch that micro flicker of jealousy. The brain unconsciously flags it. Words and body do not match. This is a lie. But it goes deeper than that. When pattern recognition combines with what psychologists call theory of mind, it strips away the mask entirely. A yelling, aggressive boss is instantly seen as a terrified child losing control. A constantly bragging peer is exposed as a deep pit of insecurity, craving validation. It sounds like an incredible advantage, right? But the reality is, it leads straight into 3 exhausting psychological traps.
This brings us to trap 1, the accidental villain. In Greek mythology, there's the story of Cassandra. She was given the gift of seeing the future, but cursed so that no one would ever believe her warnings. For highly perceptive people, this is a very painful daily reality. Take a classic 15-minute dating app scan, for example. Society runs on polite lies, right? We kind of need them to keep things smooth. So someone goes on a date with a highly polished, incredibly charming individual talking about their luxury trips and big successes. A normal person might fall head over heels, but the perceptive brain scans that entire psychological structure in 15 minutes flat. They see that the overconfidence is just overcompensation. They recognize the rushed enthusiasm as a hidden manipulation script. But when they go back and tell their friends, "Hey, this person is totally fake," what happens? Their friends just roll their eyes. Suddenly, you're the paranoid one ruining brunch. You see the dangerous iceberg beneath the water, but because you don't have hard proof, nobody believes you.
So the crucial point here is understanding what happens when you actually expose someone. In psychoanalysis, this is called projection. It's an ego defense. Let's say you have a coworker who constantly complains about missing deadlines just to get sympathy, but you know for a fact they're just managing their time poorly. If you point out that realistic truth, the whole room turns on you. The exposed person feels intense shame, and to protect their own collapsing ego, their brain strikes back.
They project their negativity onto you, suddenly painting the highly perceptive person as a cold, arrogant, empathy-lacking villain. Truth, as it turns out, carries a very high price tag.
And because telling the truth is so expensive, perceptive people often just retreat into silence, which leads to trap 2, the detective trap.
This trap is all about the exhaustion that happens when observation turns into a toxic, obsessive risk control mechanism. And it's born out of a sheer desire to never get hurt again. Look at the heavy cost of constant vigilance. When you can't trust what others say, you end up only trusting your own analysis. Innocence is completely lost. A simple compliment is suddenly analyzed as a setup for a future favor. A romantic gift isn't romance. It's a sign of guilt over something they're hiding. A text reply that takes 30 minutes isn't because they were busy, it's the beginning of the end of the relationship. This kind of psychological armor is like having hearing so sensitive that you can hear the tiny cracks in a building before it collapses. Sure, it keeps you alive, but it permanently ruins your ability to ever just sit back and enjoy the music.
And this hypervigilance inevitably breeds confirmation bias. This is a seriously dangerous thinking error, where the brain filters all incoming information simply to prove a worst-case scenario belief is right. When you live inside 10 worst-case scenarios at all times, your brain is actively looking for evidence to validate that fear. You see your partner's tired eyes after a long day at work, and instead of thinking, wow, they worked really hard, your brain instantly misinterprets it as, oh no, she's getting bored of me. You win every mental game and you never get fooled. Absolutely. But the price is that you can never ever relax.
And if that weren't exhausting enough, we arrive at trap 3, the emotional dumping ground.
This is perhaps the strangest, quietest kind of loneliness a person can experience. It is the chronic, draining heaviness of holding unspoken truths for everyone else. The source material actually describes it beautifully and tragically with this quote. It feels like knowing the Titanic is about to sink while standing in first class watching everyone dance. Imagine attending a close friend's wedding. Everyone is cheering, the music is playing, it's a great time. But because of your high perception, you see the groom's wandering glance, you catch the bride's forced smile hiding some really deep anxiety. You know, fundamentally, that this marriage is built on sand. Yet you have to stand up, raise a glass, and wish them a lifetime of happiness. You hold the truth, but you can't say a single word without completely ruining the moment.
This creates what we can call the empathy paradox. You watch toxic bosses completely manipulate kind coworkers, but you also know that your coworker's denial is the only survival shield they have right now. You can't just rip it away from them. So your mind gets stuck between this deep, aching empathy for people being deceived and a bitter skepticism toward the fake masks of the world. Because highly perceptive people anticipate everyone's needs so perfectly, they naturally become great diplomats. But the ultimate tragedy is they become invisible glass walls themselves. Everyone just assumes they are way too smart and way too strong to ever need protection or comfort themselves. So, how on earth do we fix this? Let's transition over to mastering the gift.
The thing is, you cannot simply switch off your sensitivity. Forcing a highly perceptive mind to just stop analyzing is like asking someone with perfect 20/20 vision to pretend everything is blurry. It just doesn't work. The goal isn't to see less, it's to change how you respond. And this brilliantly illustrates the solution. Therapeutic psychology offers 3 absolutely vital frameworks to build protective cognitive boundaries. If you have this gift, you must learn to practice strategic ignorance, you must genuinely accept social masks, and you must deliberately forgive present blind spots.
Let's break down the application playbook. First up, strategic ignorance. When you see a coworker acting totally fake to suck up to the boss, pause and ask yourself, is exposing this part of my key performance indicators, is it actually my responsibility? If the answer is no, leave your ego behind and just let that fake behavior pass like a cloud in the sky. Second, accept social masks.
Instead of demanding recognize masks that are hiding behind the loud bag and talk about simply the smile without anyone to expose you.
Third, forgive blind spots. You have to accept that there might be a 20% risk of betrayal in a relationship, but you intentionally choose to ignore those thorns so you can fully enjoy the 80% of joy in the present moment. You literally must allow yourself to sometimes be intentionally blind so your heart can actually rest. When a perceptive person learns to let go and actually apply these boundaries, something magical happens. The exhaustion fades, and that hyper-observation evolves into profound wisdom. As the source notes, they are no longer a cold X-ray machine exposing every flaw. They become a quiet lighthouse, calmly guiding their ship through hidden rocks.
Having this level of perception is a brutal psychological burden, for sure, but when mastered, it is undoubtedly the most beautiful gift you can possess. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Among the 3 psychological traps we just explored, the accidental villain, the detective trap, or the emotional dumping ground, which one do you honestly find yourself falling into the most? And more importantly, are you ready to commit to practicing those 3 survival principles to protect your own mind? Think about it and start building